Hello guys, welcome to Ben 10 What Ifs. So in this video, we will see, what if Ben 10 become Power Ranger? If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to shish us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Blank. Chapter 1. Convergence Point. The dimensional shifter's iridescent tendrils whipped through the night air, leaving trails of reality-bending distortion in their wake. Ben Tennyson, 19 years old, ND vastly more experienced than the 10-year-old who had first discovered the Omnitrix, rolled behind an overturned car as the concrete where he'd stood a moment before dissolved into swirling cosmic dust. "Bellwood's seen some weird stuff. But you're definitely making the top 10, Ben called out, his voice steady despite the chaos. He studied the alien entity, a being composed of pulsating energy. Cores connected by those deadly tendrils, hovering 15 feet above the damaged street. Got a name, or should I just call you Tentacle Face? The creature's response came not in words but in a resonant frequency that made Ben's teeth vibrate. The air between them rippled with gravitational distortion. Silent treatment, huh? Ben's fingers hovered over the Omnitrix, the device that had defined his life for nearly a decade. Let me introduce myself properly then. With practiced precision, he activated the holographic interface, cycling through alien forms before slamming his palm down. Emerald light engulfed him, restructuring his DNA in seconds. Where Ben had stood now towered Chromastone, a crystalline humanoid radiating purple energy from internal magenta crystals. Let's see how our spatial distortions handle ultraviolet, he said, his voice deeper, resonating through his crystalline body. Ben fired a concentrated beam of energy directly at the creature's central mass. The dimensional shifter absorbed the blast, its body expanding momentarily before contracting with violent force. The street beneath them warped, buildings on either side bending inward as though viewed through a fisheye lens. That's not what I was going for, Ben muttered, leaping sideways as a car floated past, caught in a localized gravity field. The alien emitted a pulsating tone, its tendrils weaving complex patterns in the air. Ben recognized the danger signs, not from experience, but from instinct honed through countless battles. This wasn't just an attack, the creature was trying to tear open space itself. Ben tapped the Omnitrix symbol on his chest. Another flash of green light transformed him into XLR-8, a velociraptor-like alien with a helmet-like head and wheels for feet. Moving at supersonic speed, he circled the dimensional shifter, creating a vortex that temporarily disrupted its concentration. "Whatever you're planning, it's not happening on my watch," Ben shouted, his words blurring with his speed. The shifter's tendrils suddenly reversed direction, all 12 of them converging on a single point in space. The air cracked like glass, revealing a pulsing rift of swirling energy. Ben skidded to a halt, his predator's sharp eyes narrowing at the dimensional tier. That can't be good. His Omnitrix began to emit a series of rapid beeps, not the timeout warning he knew so well, but something different. The green hourglass symbol flickered erratically, illuminating the street with strobing light. Omnitrix malfunction. Ben slapped the symbol. Now is really not the time. The dimensional shifter turned its amorphous body toward the tear, vibrating at an increasing frequency. The rift expanded, edges crackling with temporal energy that sent shivers through reality itself. Nearby buildings distorted, streetlights bent like rubber, and the very air seemed to fold in impossible geometries. "Whatever you're doing, stop." Ben attempted another transformation, seeking Cosmic Alien X whose reality-altering powers might counter this threat. The Omnitrix sparked painfully against his wrist, sending emerald electricity up his arm. The dimensional shifter's tendrils suddenly shot toward Ben, wrapping around his limbs before he could react. The Omnitrix flared brilliantly, its core interacting with the alien energy in unpredictable ways. Pain lanced through Ben's body as he felt himself being pulled toward the rift. "No. Wait." He struggled against the tendrils, his form shifting uncontrollably between human and alien fragments as the Omnitrix went haywire. This isn't. The world around him collapsed inward, reality folding like origami until all Ben could see was endless spiraling light. The sensation of being simultaneously stretched and compressed overtook him, molecular disassembly at its most excruciating. His consciousness fragmented, scattered across dimensional boundaries like dust in a hurricane. Then, darkness. Impact drove the air from Ben's lungs as he crashed onto unfamiliar ground. Concrete cracked beneath him, dust billowing from the small crater his arrival had created. For several seconds, he could only lie there, waiting for his scattered senses to realign. Definitely not one of Draken's typical monsters. A female voice shouted nearby, her tone commanding yet strained. Energy readings are off the charts. Another voice, this one carrying the crisp precision of an academic. The morphing grid is fluctuating around its entry point. Ben forced his eyes open, vision swimming as he tried to focus. Smoke clouded the air, punctuated by flashes of colored light and the sounds of combat. He pushed himself to his knees, immediately checking the Omnitrix. The device was dark, its surface cool against his skin, completely powered down. Great, he muttered, rising unsteadily to his feet. Dimensional travel apparently equals dead Omnitrix. As the smoke cleared, Ben took in his surroundings with practiced efficiency. He stood in what appeared to be a city plaza, modern architecture, Earth-like, but definitely not Bellwood. The buildings bore unfamiliar logos, and the layout was wrong. More immediately concerning were the 5 figures in form-fitting, color-coded suits engaged in battle with something that looked like a hybrid between a mechanical scorpion and an industrial excavator. Power Rangers, Ben breathed, recognition dawning despite the unfamiliar costumes. He'd seen enough TV as a kid to recognize the iconic heroes, even if these versions differed from what he remembered. The Red Ranger, clearly Faye, male based on her build, executed a flawless spinning kick that connected with the monster's face. Yellow, blue, flanking maneuver 3. She called out, her voice revealing her as the first speaker Ben had heard. 2 Rangers, 1 yellow, 1 blue, moved in perfect synchronization, leaping impossibly high to attack the creature from opposite sides. The Yellow Ranger's movements flowed like water, contrasting with the Blue Ranger's precise, calculated strikes. The monster roared, mechanical parts grinding as it swung a massive pincer toward the Green and Pink Rangers positioning themselves for another attack. Energy crackled across its exoskeleton, building toward what was clearly a powerful discharge. Ben's combat instincts took over. Even without the Omnitrix, he wasn't helpless. Years of fighting alongside Gwen and Kevin had taught him human combat skills that most professionals would envy. He sprinted forward, analyzing the situation rapidly. Its power core is exposed on the underside, he shouted, dropping into a slide that carried him beneath the creature's guard. The emission buildup pattern suggests a 60-second recharge cycle. The Red Ranger's helmet turned toward him sharply. Civilian, clear the area immediately. Ben ignored the order, continuing his slide until he was directly beneath the monster. Above him, he spotted exactly what he'd suspected, an pulsating RGY core partially protected by segmented armor. He pulled a small multi-tool from his pocket, standard equipment after too many Omnitrix timeouts, and jammed it precisely between armor segments, creating a gap that exposed more of the core. Hit it now, he called, rolling away as the creature registered his presence and stabbed downward with its tail. To their credit, the Rangers adapted immediately. The Blue Ranger, female, with movements suggesting scientific precision, produced a bow-like weapon that materialized in a flash of azure light. Target locked. Her voice confirmed she was the second speaker Ben had heard. She fired 3 energy arrows through the gap Ben had created. The monster's body convulsed, energy discharges shorting out across its form. Ben scrambled to his feet, backing away to a safer distance as the Rangers pressed their advantage. The coordinated attack that followed was impressive, each Ranger moving with practiced efficiency, their teamwork evident in every synchronized move. What happened next caught everyone by surprise. The dimensional shifter, the same creature Ben had been fighting in Bellwood, materialized above them, its tendrils now crackling with red-tinged energy. It emitted a pulse that rippled outward, washing over the plaza like a visible sound wave. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The Rangers' suits flickered like bad television reception, energy discharging in chaotic bursts. Simultaneously, Ben's Omnitrix reactivated, but instead of its usual steady green glow, it pulsed with erratic multicolored light, sending painful energy spikes up his arm. What the Red Ranger staggered, her suit dematerializing in patches to reveal a young woman with East Asian features, her dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. The morphing grid is destabilizing. The other Rangers experienced the same phenomenon, their protective suits dissolving away to reveal the people beneath. The Blue Ranger became a South Asian woman with intelligent eyes and an expression of intense concentration. The Yellow Ranger's disappearing suit revealed a young woman with warm brown skin and intricate tattoos visible on her forearms. The Green and Pink Rangers, a dark-skinned man with close-cropped hair and a blonde woman with a practical bob cut, both reached for weapons that flickered out of existence. The mechanical scorpion monster, momentarily forgotten, recovered from the Rangers' attack and advanced on the now vulnerable team. At the same time, the dimensional shifter descended, its tendrils spreading wide like the legs of a spider. Ben's combat-trained mind processed the dual threat instantly. Rangers, focus on your monster. I'll handle the dimensional shifter. He didn't wait for agreement, sprinting toward the alien entity while triggering the Omnitrix. Nothing happened except another painful energy surge. Come on, not now. He slammed his palm against the device repeatedly, but the erratic light continued to pulse without transformation. The Red Ranger, now powerless, shouted to her team, fall back and regroup. Standard contingency formation. Despite her lack of powers, she moved with impressive speed and agility, executing a backflip over the monster's sweeping tail. Her team followed her lead, creating distance while maintaining tactical positioning. Ben found himself caught between the retreating Rangers and the advancing dimensional shifter. Making a split-second decision, he changed direction, joining the Rangers' defensive formation. You need to leave, civilian. The Red Ranger commanded, her eyes never leaving the threats before them. This isn't your fight. Actually, it kind of is, Ben countered, positioning himself at her side. That dimensional entity followed me here. And trust me, I've got experience with this kind of thing. The Blue Ranger studied him with analytical intensity. The energy signature from his wrist device matches the dimensional anomaly readings. Maya, I think he's telling the truth. The Red Ranger, Maya, gave Ben a quick, assessing glance. Explanations later. Right now we need to contain these threats without our powers. The mechanical scorpion and dimensional shifter approached from opposite sides, creating a pincer movement that threatened to trap the group. Ben assessed their options with the strategic acumen of someone who'd faced world-ending threats since childhood. The monster's hydraulic systems have a 3-second vulnerability after each attack sequence, he observed. And the shifter can't maintain dimensional stability while focusing its energy tendrils. That's why it keeps pulsing instead of attacking continuously. Maya's eyebrows rose slightly. You gathered all of that in the middle of a crisis. Ben shrugged. Tuesday is usually my crisis day. The Yellow Ranger stepped forward, her movements fluid and balanced despite the tension. I'm sensing a pattern in the dimensional entity's energy. It's searching for something, possibly him. She nodded toward Ben. That tracks. Ben agreed. Look, here's the plan. Your team handles the scorpion thing using the hydraulic vulnerability. I'll draw the shifter away, buying you time. Maya shook her head. No offense, but you don't look equipped to handle that thing alone. Trust me, I've been doing this since I was 10. Ben met her gaze steadily. Besides, my watch is the reason your powers aren't working. Distance might help. The Blue Ranger nodded. The interference pattern suggests he's correct, Maya. After a moment's consideration, Maya gave a sharp nod. Fine. Zara, Kiana, with me on the excavadron. Trent, Jessica, maintain perimeter and evacuate any civilians. Ben didn't wait for further discussion, breaking from the group and sprinting toward a half-destroyed fountain. Hey, tentacle face, remember me, we have unfinished business. The dimensional shifter immediately changed course, its amorphous body pulsating with what almost seemed like recognition. It abandoned the Rangers, focusing entirely on Ben. From the corner of his eye, Ben saw Maya, the Blue Ranger, presumably Zara, and the Yellow Ranger, likely Kiana, executing a coordinated attack on the mechanical scorpion. Despite lacking their powers, their movements displayed years of training. Maya's strikes powerful and direct, Zara's precisely targeted at vulnerable joints, and Kiana's flowing style using the monster's momentum against it. Ben refocused on his own problem as the dimensional shifter launched 3 tendrils toward him. He dove beneath them, rolling to his feet behind a toppled statue. The Omnitrix continued its erratic behavior, occasionally shooting painful sparks up his arm. Come on, he muttered, slapping the device. Just one transformation. Feedback would be perfect right about now. The shifter's next attack shattered the statue, forcing Ben into open ground. He sprinted between destroyed benches and landscaping features, using the urban terrain to his advantage. Years of battling without powers during Omnitrix recharges had honed his evasion skills to near superhuman levels. Near the Ranger battle, Ben caught glimpses of impressive teamwork. Maya had climbed onto a street lamp, timing her jump to land on the monster's back precisely when it was most vulnerable. Zara had improvised some kind of electrical device from damaged equipment, using it to disrupt the creature's systems. Kiana was manipulating water from broken pipes, creating slick surfaces that threw off the monster's balance. The dimensional shifter suddenly changed tactics, its tendrils no longer aiming for Ben but instead creating a circular pattern in the air before him. The familiar sight of a dimensional tear began forming, smaller than before, but growing rapidly. Not again. Ben changed direction, but the tear expanded faster than he could retreat. The Omnitrix's erratic pulses intensified, synchronizing with the tear's energy frequency. Across the plaza, Maya noticed the developing situation. Despite being in the middle of her own battle, she shouted, "Everyone down! Energy surge imminent." Her warning came just as the dimensional tear and the Omnitrix reached synchronization. A blinding flash of emerald and violet energy erupted from the point of convergence, sending a shockwave across the plaza that knocked everyone, Rangers, monsters, and Ben, off their feet. When the light faded, the dimensional shifter was gone, leaving only scattered energy residue. The mechanical scorpion lay motionless, its systems fried by the energy pulse. And the Omnitrix, surprisingly, had stabilized, its familiar green glow restored, though slightly dimmer than normal. Ben pushed himself up, ears ringing from the explosion. Across the debris-strewn plaza, the Rangers were also recovering, checking on each other with practiced efficiency. Maya was the first to approach him, her posture wary but no longer hostile. "So," she said, stopping a cautious distance away, "you want to explain what just happened and who exactly you are?" Before Ben could answer, Zara joined them, a small device in her hand scanning the area. "The dimensional anomaly has collapsed, but there are UAL energy signatures unlike anything I've ever seen." She turned the scanner toward Ben. "And they're concentrated around his watch." Kiana approached more openly, her expression curious rather than suspicious. "The energy doesn't feel hostile. Displaced, yes, but not malevolent." Ben raised his hand slightly, a universal gesture of peace. "My name is Ben Tennyson. That thing was a dimensional shifter that attacked my hometown. My watch," he glanced down at the Omnitrix, "is called the Omnitrix. It lets me transform into different alien species. Or it did, until everything went haywire." Maya crossed her arms. "Alien transformation watch, you expect us to believe that?" says the color-coded superhero whose powers just got zapped, Ben countered with a raised eyebrow. "Look, I'm as confused as you are about ending up here." "Wherever here is, exactly." "Angel Grove," Kiana supplied, earning a sharp look from Maya. "And you're the Power Rangers," Ben continued. "I recognize the concept, but you're different from the ones I've heard of." Zara's scanner beeped insistently. "The morphing grid is stabilizing, but there's a strange interference pattern centered on his device." She looked up, meeting Ben's eyes with scientific curiosity. "Your Omnitrix appears to be operating on a quantum frequency that's harmonic with but distinct from our morphing grid." Maya sighed, making a decision. "We need to take him to the command center. Dr. Gray needs to see this." Ben tensed slightly. "No offense, but I've had enough experience with government facilities to be a little cautious about walking into one." "It's not a government facility," Kiana said gently. "It's our headquarters. If your device is affecting our powers, we need to understand why. And if you're truly from another dimension, we might be able to help you get back." The practical logic was sound, and Ben had few other options in an unfamiliar world with an unstable Omnitrix. "All right," he agreed, "but I reserve he right to alien up and leave if things get weird." "Well, weirder." Maya almost smiled. "Fair enough. Follow us. The command center was nothing like the military bunker Ben had half expected. Located beneath what appeared to be an ordinary community center, the facility combined advanced technology with an almost zen-like atmosphere. Crystal formations grew alongside computer terminals, and the lighting came from both conventional sources and bioluminescent plants in transparent containers. Whoa, Ben couldn't help but comment as they entered the main chamber. Azimuth would definitely want to compare notes with whoever designed this place. A woman in her mid-20s looked up from a central console. Her auburn hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and round glasses perched on her nose. Despite her lab coat and professional demeanor, there was something youthful about her expression, the excited curiosity of a born scientist. "You're back." The grid readings were all over the place. And then there was that energy spike and she stopped mid-sentence, noticing Ben. "Who's this? And why is he carrying an interdimensional quantum oscillator on his wrist?" "Dr. Eileen Gray, meet Ben Tennyson," Maya introduced formally. "Apparently, he's from another dimension, and that oscillator is called an Omnitrix." Ben extended his hand. "Nice to meet you. And it's not an oscillator, it's a DNA recombinator with transformation capabilities." Dr. Gray's eyes widened, scientific excitement overcoming social awkwardness. She shook his hand briefly before pulling a scanner from her pocket. "May I? This could be the breakthrough we've been waiting for in cross-dimensional energy manipulation." "Eileen," Maya interrupted firmly, "before you dissect our visitor's watch, maybe we should discuss the situation. Our powers failed in the middle of combat, and a new dimensional entity appeared. This isn't a coincidence." Dr. Gray looked momentarily abashed. "Right, of course." She turned to a large display screen, inputting commands with practiced efficiency. The morphing grid experienced a harmonic disruption precisely when the dimensional anomaly appeared. It was as if two similar, but distinct energy systems suddenly occupied the same space. "The Omnitrix and your morphing grid," Ben concluded. "They must operate on similar principles." Zara approached, her ranger uniform laced with practical clothing that still maintained the blue color scheme. Both systems appear to manipulate fundamental quantum states to transform matter and energy. The interference pattern suggests they're compatible but not calibrated to coexist. Kiana joined them, now wearing casual clothing with yellow accents. "There's something else. When the energy pulse happened, I sensed another presence. Something ancient and powerful watching through the tear." Maya, who had changed into red-accented civilian clothes, frowned. "Draken." "No," Kiana shook her head. "Something different. Something that felt familiar with him." She nodded toward Ben. All eyes turned to Ben, who raised his hands defensively. "Hey, I've made plenty of enemies over the years, but I don't know who would follow me across dimensions." Dr. Gray's fingers flew across her console. The energy signature from the tear shows traces of chronoton particles and quantum entanglement patterns consistent with targeted dimensional transit. Whatever came through was looking specifically for this location. "Or for me," Ben suggested grimly. "I've dealt with time travelers and dimension hoppers before. Usually, they're not bringing good news." The command center's alarm system suddenly activated, red lights pulsing as displays showed multiple disturbances across the city. Dr. Gray's expression grew concerned as she analyzed the data. "We have 6 simultaneous attacks at different locations," she reported. "This isn't Draken's usual pattern. He's testing defenses, searching for something. Or creating a diversion," Ben suggested. Years of tactical experience evident in his assessment. "Spread your forces thin, then strike at your real target." Maya nodded in agreement. "My thoughts exactly. But we can't ignore civilian casualties either." "What about our powers?" Zara asked, directing the question to Dr. Gray. "Are we operational?" Dr. Gray checked her readings. "The morphing grid has stabilized, but it's at reduced capacity. You should be able to morph, but you might experience fluctuations." "We'll have to risk it," Maya decided. "Trent and Jessica can take the east side disturbances. Zara, Kiana and I will handle the west side. Dr. Gray, keep monitoring the situation from here and coordinate." "What about me?" Ben asked, holding up his wrist. "The Omnitrix seems to be working again, though I'm not sure for how long." Maya hesitated, studying him with measured consideration. No offense, but we don't know you. This could all be an elaborate setup. If I wanted to harm you, I've had plenty of opportunities. Ben pointed out reasonably. Besides, I've been dealing with world-ending threats since I was a kid. I can handle myself. He did provide crucial tactical information during the battle, Zara noted. His combat analysis was exceptional, even without powers. Kiana nodded. I sense no deception in him. Only confusion and a genuine desire to help. After a moment's consideration, Maya relented. Fine, you come with us, but you follow my lead. This is our world, our rules. Ben nodded, satisfied. Understood, Commander. Maya raised an eyebrow at the title but didn't correct him. Rangers, move out. Dr. Gray, keep analyzing that dimensional tear in Ben's device. We need to understand what we're dealing with. As the team prepared to depart, Ben activated the Omnitrix, cycling through his alien roster. Looks like all my transformations are available, but the energy signatures seem different somehow. Dr. Gray's scanner beeped as she pointed it at the holographic display. The Omnitrix is synchronizing with the morphing grid. It's adapting to our dimensional frequency. Is that good or bad? Ben asked, finger hovering over the selection. Theoretically, it should stabilize both systems. Practically, Dr. Gray shrugged. We're in uncharted territory. Story of my life, Ben muttered, selecting an alien form. Let's test it out. He slammed his palm down on the Omnitrix, initiating the transformation sequence. The familiar green energy engulfed him, but this time with swirls of multicolored light reminiscent of the Ranger's morphing grid. His DNA reconfigured, body transforming into one of his most reliable forms, Diamondhead, a crystalline Petrosapian with control over his molecular structure. Except something was different. The transformation completed, revealing Diamondhead's familiar crystalline body, but now with distinctive armor components reminiscent of Ranger technology integrated into his form. A chest plate bearing the Omnitrix symbol glowed with emerald light, and energy lines ran through his crystal structure like circuits. Whoa! Ben's voice resonated differently through his transformed body. This is new. Dr. Gray stared in fascination. The Omnitrix has integrated morphing grid energy into the transformation. You're exhibiting a hybrid form that incorporates both technologies. Maya looked less impressed but couldn't hide her surprise. Well, that's one way to make an entrance. Kiana approached, studying the energy flowing through Ben's crystalline form. The patterns are harmonized now, not fighting each other. It feels balanced. How does it feel? Zara asked, scientific curiosity evident. Ben flexed his crystalline hands, feeling the familiar Petrosapian strength but with an additional energy current flowing beneath. Stronger, more focused, like the transformation is more stable than usual. We can analyze this later, Maya interrupted, practical as ever. Right now, we have a city under attack. The Amon Center's alert system suddenly blared with renewed urgency. Dr. Gray's expression shifted from scientific fascination to alarm as she checked the readings. Massive energy spike downtown. She stopped, eyes widening. It can't be. What is it? Maya demanded. Dr. Gray looked up, face pale. It's registering as two distinct but synchronized energy signatures. One matches Draken's unique morphing grid corruption pattern. But the other, she turned to Ben, the other matches descriptions in your DNA sample. Someone called Vilgax. Ben's crystalline form tensed visibly. Vilgax. Here. That's impossible. Vilgax. Maya questioned. The worst of the worst, Ben explained grimly. A conqueror who's tried to take the Omnitrix from me for years. If he's here and working with your Draken, then we're facing a coordinated attack from the worst villains of two dimensions, Maya finished, understanding the severity instantly. Dr. Gray, recall Trent and Jessica. We'll need the full team. The other disturbances are still active. Drive. Gray reported. They're targeting civilians. Maya made the difficult decision immediately. Then we split up. Trent and Jessica continue civilian evacuation. Zara, Kiana and I will confront Draken and this Vilgax. I'm coming with you, Ben stated firmly. Vilgax is my responsibility. I've defeated him before. This isn't your world, Maya reminded him. But it is my fight. Ben countered. Vilgax followed me here. That makes whatever happens my responsibility. The two leaders stared at each other, a silent battle of wills between experienced commanders. Finally, Maya nodded once, recognizing the resolve of someone who, like herself, carried the weight of protecting others. Fine, but on the battlefield, my team follows my orders. Understood. Ben agreed without hesitation, respecting her authority in this dimension. The Rangers moved to the center of the room, taking position for their transformation sequence. Maya looked to her teammates. Determination replacing uncertainty. Ready. Zara and Kiana nodded, taking stance beside her. It's morphin time. The three Rangers moved in perfect synchronization, their morphing grid activation sequence a blend of practiced technique and innate connection to the energy source. Multicolored light enveloped them, solidifying into their distinctive suits, Maya in red with phoenix-inspired details, Zara in blue with flowing water patterns, and Kiana in yellow with earth element symbology. As their transformation completed, Ben noticed something unusual, subtle energy lines connecting their suits to his hybrid diamond head form, as if the morphing grid and Omnitrix were establishing some kind of harmonized network. Dr. Gray noticed it too. The energy systems are synchronizing. Your presence is actually stabilizing their connection to the grid. So bringing me along is tactical as well as courteous, Ben observed. Good to know I'm not just extra baggage. Maya's helmeted head turned toward him. We'll see how useful you are in the field. Despite the professional tone, there was a hint of respect in her voice that hadn't been there before. Rangers, teleportation is ready, drive. Gray announced. Programming coordinates into the system. I've pinpointed the epicenter of the disturbance. Stay in communication range, Maya instructed. If this is truly a villain team-up from different dimensions, we're in uncharted territory. Dr. Gray nodded. I'll continue analyzing the dimensional breach. There might be a way to send Ben home once this is resolved. N's crystalline features formed what approximated a smile. Let's deal with the conquering warlords first, then worry about my travel plans. The teleportation system activated, surrounding the three Rangers and Ben in columns of light corresponding to their colors, red for Maya, blue for Zara, yellow for Kiana, and a unique green-tinged crystalline light for Ben's hybrid form. Be careful, drive. I called as they began to dematerialize. We don't fully understand how the dimensional energies will interact under combat conditions. Story of my life, Ben repeated as the command center disappeared around them. Replaced by the swirling energy of teleportation transit, they materialized in what remained of Angel Grove's central plaza, a once beautiful public space now transformed into a battlefield. Broken fountains, shattered sculptures, and uprooted trees created an apocalyptic landscape. In the center stood two figures that emanated palpable malevolence. Lord Draken, a corrupted Versio, N of a former ranger according to the brief explanation Maya had provided during transit, cut an imposing figure in black and green armor embellished with gold accents and draconic elements. His helmet was removed, revealing a face that might once have been handsome before ambition and power had hardened it into cruel lines. Beside him stood a figure Ben knew all too well, Vilgax, conqueror of 10 worlds. Standing 8 feet tall with a squid-like face featuring tentacle-like appendages. His massive body was enhanced with cybernetic implants, and the crimson eyes that had haunted Ben's nightmare. For years narrowed at the sight of his nemesis. Tennyson, Vilgax's deep voice rumbled across the plaza. How predictable that you would align yourself with this world's defenders. And how predictable that you'd team up with the local tyrant, Ben retorted, his crystalline body tensing for combat. Making friends wherever you go, aren't you, Vilgax? Lord Draken's cold laugh held no humor. Friends. Merely a temporary alliance of convenience. Your arrival has accelerated our timetable, Ben Tennyson. Maya stepped forward, her stance radiating authority despite facing two formidable enemies. Whatever you're planning, Draken. It ends here. Always so confident, Red Ranger, Draken sneered. But you have no concept of what's truly at stake. The morphing grid and the Omnitrix, two power sources from different dimensions. Now intersecting. The possibilities are limitless. The Omnitrix was never meant for conquest, Ben stated firmly. And from what I gather, neither was your morphing grid. Vilgax flexed his massive arms, cybernetic enhancements humming with power. Tools are defined by those who wield them, Tennyson. In your hands, the Omnitrix is wasted on heroics. In mine, it will forge an empire spanning multiple dimensions. Zara's analytical mind quickly processed the implications. They're attempting to create a combined power source, integrating the Omnitrix's transformative capabilities with the Morphing Grid's energy network. Perceptive, Blue Ranger, Draken acknowledged with a cold smile. The Morphitrix will allow its wielder to access and control the fundamental energy of multiple realities simultaneously. Not if we stop you first, Kiana declared, her normally gentle voice firm with resolve. Maya nodded to her teammates. Rangers, battle formation. The three Rangers moved with coordinated precision, spreading out to flank the villains from multiple angles. Ben, understanding tactical positioning from years of team operations with Gwen and Kevin, complemented their formation perfectly. Tennyson is mine, Vilgax declared, stepping forward with menacing purpose. We'll see about that, Ben replied, raising his crystalline arms. The HYBR-id form of Diamond Head responded differently than he was accustomed to, energy coursing through his crystalline structure in patterns reminiscent of Ranger technology. Let's test what this new form can do. Vilgax charged, faster than his massive frame suggested possible. Ben met the charge, crystalline hands forming into bladed weapons. The collision sent shockwaves across the plaza, cracking the remaining intact pavement. Meanwhile, the Rangers engaged Draken, their coordinated attacks forcing the villain to defend from multiple directions. Maya's Phoenix-themed attacks brought waves of fiery energy, while Zara's precision strikes targeted weak points in Draken's defense. Kiana moved like flowing water, her earth-attuned powers causing the ground beneath Draken to shift unpredictably. Ben found himself adjusting to the enhanced capabilities of his hybrid form. The crystalline projectiles he fired now contained trace elements of Morphing Grid energy, exploding on impact with greater force. His defensive capabilities had similarly improved, crystal structures reforming faster after taking damage. Your new form changes nothing, Vilgax growled, landing a powerful blow that sent Ben skidding backward. I've defeated you in 1,000 forms across a dozen worlds. And I've beaten you every time, Ben countered, reforming his damaged shoulder instantly. New dimension, same result coming your way. Across the battlefield, the Rangers pressed their advantage against Draken. Working in perfect synchronization, they maneuvered the villain toward a position where Ben could potentially assist. Whatever you and Vilgax are planning, it won't work, Maya declared, her Phoenix sword clashing against Draken's corrupted dragon dagger. The Morphing Grid isn't yours to corrupt. Draken parried her attack, countering with a blast of green energy that forced her back. You understand so little of the grid's true nature, Red Ranger. It spans dimensions, connecting all realities. The Omnitrix merely offered the key we needed to unlock its full potential. Zara fired precision energy arrows that Draken barely deflected. The dimensional frequencies don't align naturally. Orking a connection would cause catastrophic instability. A necessary sacrifice, Draken replied coldly, for those unworthy dimensions. The battle's intensity increased, both sides fully engaged. Ben found himself naturally coordinating with the Rangers despite never having fought alongside them before. When Vilgax drove him back toward where Maya was engaging Draken, Ben instinctively ducked, allowing Maya's Phoenix sword to pass over his head and strike at Vilgax. Similarly, when Kiana was momentarily vulnerable, Ben created a crystal barrier that deflected Draken's energy blast. The villains noticed this emerging teamwork and exchanged a brief glance of mutual understanding. Draken raised his corrupted morpher, activating a secondary function. Enough testing their capabilities. Initiate primary sequence. Vilgax's cybernetic components pulsed with alien light as he raised a device similar to a compact null-void projector. Dimensional convergence initiating. The devices activated simultaneously, creating a swirling vortex of energy between the villains, green Omnitrix energy and multicolored Morphing Grid power spiraling together in an unnatural fusion. That can't be good, Ben muttered, recognizing the dangerous energy pattern. Maya seemed to agree. Rangers, priority target is that vortex. We need to disrupt it before stabilization. The team immediately adjusted their strategy, focusing attacks on the energy vortex forming between Draken and Vilgax. Ben fired his most concentrated crystal projectiles, while the Rangers launched their signature elemental attacks. The combined assault struck the vortex, only to be absorbed completely, the swirling energy growing more intense rather than destabilizing. Your attacks only fuel the convergence, Draken laughed. Every energy signature you throw at it helps calibrate the dimensional frequencies. Zara's tactical mind worked furiously. We need to desynchronize their devices. The timing has to be perfect for the convergence to stabilize. Ben nodded, understanding immediately. I'll handle Vilgax's device, you three focus on Draken. Without waiting for confirmation, Ben charged toward Vilgax, his cry. Stalin body shifting to its most streamlined form for speed. Vilgax anticipated the attack, meeting Ben's charge with a thunderous punch that would have shattered ordinary stone. But Ben's hybrid diamond head form was far from ordinary. The crystalline structure absorbed the impact, redistributing the energy through morphing grid-enhanced pathways before releasing it back in a concentrated blast that staggered even Vilgax. Impossible, the warlord growled, genuine surprise in his voice. Your powers have never. New dimension, new rules, Ben interrupted, pressing his advantage. Crystal Shaw. RDS erupted from his body in all directions, some targeting Vilgax directly while others aimed precisely at the convergence device. Across the battlefield, the Rangers executed a perfectly synchronized D-attack against Draken, Maya's frontal assault drawing his attention while Zara and Kiana attacked from opposite flanks. The combination forced Draken to divide his focus, his corrupted morpher momentarily vulnerable. Now, Maya shouted. Zara fired a precision energy arrow that struck Draken's device at exactly the same moment that Ben's crystal projectiles hit Vilgax's convergence tech. The S.I. Multineous impact disrupted the careful calibration, sending feedback through the forming vortex. The reaction was immediate and violent. The vortex collapsed inward before exploding outward, releasing a shockwave of misaligned dimensional energy that knocked everyone, Rangers, villains, and Ben, off their feet. Ben was the first to recover, his crystalline form more resistant to the energy discharge. He quickly assessed the situation, noting that both Vilgax and Draken were already regaining their footing, their devices damaged but not destroyed. We've only delayed them, he called to the Rangers. We need a more permanent solution. Maya nodded as she rose, her Ranger suit flickering slightly from the energy disruption but holding. Dr. Gray, are you getting readings on this? She spoke into her communicator. Dr. Gray's voice came through with static interference. The dimensional convergence attempt has created multiple weak points in the barrier between your realities. I'm detecting energy signatures similar to the Omnitrix at 3 locations across the city. He brought reinforcements, Ben realized grimly. Vilgax never comes alone. Draken and Vilgax retreated to a defensive position, their devices requiring recalibration. Draken's cold eyes narrowed as he assessed the situation. This skirmish is merely a prelude, Rangers. The true convergence cannot be stopped. We'll have to agree to disagree on that. Maya replied, her phoenix sword glowing with renewed energy as the morphing grid stabilized around her. Vilgax turned to Ben, crimson eyes burning with hatred. Enjoy this temporary victory, Tennyson. When next we meet, I will wield the power of 2 dimensions, and not even your new allies will save you. Before the team could launch another attack, Draken activated a teleportation sequence. Both villains disappeared in a flash of corrupted energy, leaving the Rangers and Ben alone in the devastated plaza. Well, that was dramatic, Ben commented, tapping the Omnitrix symbol on his chest to revert to human form. The transformation reversed, green light washing over him as he returned to his normal appearance. But we've got a bigger problem if Vilgax brought friends from my dimension. Zara was already scanning the area with her Ranger technology. The dimensional breach points are unstable but growing. If Dr. Gray's readings are correct, we could be facing multiple incursions. Kiana placed a hand on the ground, her connection to the Earth providing additional insights. The energy is wrong, discordant. These dimensions weren't meant to intersect this way. So we have 2 megalomaniacal villains trying to combine the most powerful technologies from both our worlds, possible reinforcements from Ben's dimension, and unstable breaches threatening reality itself. Maya summarized. Anything else we should know? Ben gave her a wry smile. Just that in my experience, this is usually when things get really complicated. As if on cue, their communicators activated with Dr. Gray's urgent voice. Rangers, Ben, You need to return to the command center immediately. I've made a discovery about the Omnitrix and morphing grid interaction that changes everything. Maya exchanged a look with Ben, professional concern meeting seasoned experience. Teleporting now, she confirmed. And Dr. Gray, prepare the full briefing room. I think we're going to need all the help we can get. As the teleportation energy surrounded them once more, Ben couldn't help but wonder what twist awaited. New dimension, new allies, but the same old universe-threatening danger. Some things, it seemed, were consistent across all realities. The plaza disappeared in a flash of multicolored light, leaving behind only the echoes of battle and the first hints of a conflict that would soon span multiple dimensions. Chapter 2. Fractured Dimensions. Emerald lightning crackled across Ben's transformed body as 4 arms, now enhanced with Ranger technology, deflected another energy blast. The massive red-skinned Tetraman's 4 muscular arms moved with synchronized precision, each limb encased in armor bearing the distinctive patterns of the morphing grid. The OMN, Itrix symbol on his chest pulsed rhythmically, sending waves of power through circuits etched into his enhanced form. You're adapting quickly, Maya observed from the edge of the training arena, her analytical gaze missing nothing as she studied his movements. 3 days had passed since their confrontation with Vilgax and Draken, and every hour had been dedicated to preparation for the inevitable next encounter. Ben caught the last energy projectile bare-handed, the impact dispersing harmlessly across his enhanced palm. The Omnitrix has always worked with my instincts, but this is different, he explained. His voice deeper in this form but retaining his characteristic confidence. It's like having an extrasensory dimension. I can feel the morphing grid energy flowing alongside the alien DNA. Dr. Gray monitored readings from a sophisticated console nearby, her eyes alight with scientific fascination. The integration is progressing far more efficiently than predicted. The Omnitrix isn't just borrowing from the morphing grid, it's establishing a symbiotic relationship with it. Translation. Ben gets cooler armor and power boosts, Trent quipped from where he lounged against the wall. The Green Ranger's relaxed posture belying his attentive observation. Not just cosmetic enhancements, Zara corrected, approaching with a data tablet displaying complex energy patterns. The hybridization is fundamentally altering the transformation matrix. Each alien form maintains its core abilities but gains specific Ranger attributes aligned with its natural proclivities. Ben tapped the Omnitrix symbol, reverting to human form in a flash of green light. The training room's bright illumination highlighted the fatigue on his face, the result of pushing his transformations to their limits for hours on end. Despite this, energy still radiated from him, the confidence of someone who had faced world-ending threats since childhood and emerged victorious. What about the dimensional breaches? He asked, accepting a water bottle from Kiana with a grateful nod. Any change in the readings? The question sobered the room. Jessica, the Pink Ranger, activated a holographic display showing GA map of Angel Grove with multiple pulsing points of light. 7 confirmed tiers as of this morning, each one emitting energy signatures consistent with your universe, Ben. And they're growing. Drive. Gray added grimly. The dimensional barrier between our realities was significantly weakened by Vilgax and Draken's convergence attempt. Each breach represents a potential invasion point. Maya pushed herself away from the wall, her posture shifting from observer to commander with practiced ease. We need a comprehensive strategy. These breaches are too widespread for reactive defense. Ben studied the holographic map, tactical assessment written across his features. Vilgax doesn't do anything without multiple contingency plans. These tiers aren't random, they're precisely placed to maximize strategic advantage. I've analyzed the pattern, Zara confirmed, manipulating the hologram to highlight connections between breach points. They form a heptagonal configuration around the city, with the central plaza as the focal point. The mathematical precision suggests deliberate placement. Kiana approached the hologram, her movements fluid and graceful. Unlike her teammates in practical training attire, she wore flowing fabrics in earthy tones, subtle yellow accents honoring her Ranger color. There's something else, she said, voice soft but commanding attention. Each breach point, T corresponds to a ley line intersection, ancient energy pathways that run beneath the city. Ley lines, Ben questioned, unfamiliar with the concept. Natural energy conduits that exist in most inhabited worlds, Kiana explained. My ancestors called them the Earth's veins. They channel and amplify mystical energies, or in this case, could amplify the morphing grid. Dr. Gray typed rapidly at her console. That's consistent with the energy fluctuations we're detecting. The breaches are drawing power from both dimensions and channeling it along these pathways toward the central plaza. Where Draken and Vilgax attempted their convergence, Maya concluded, the implications darkening her expression. They're not just creating invasion points, they're building a power collection system. Ben rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Classic Vilgax. Create a crisis that forces defenders to spread thin, then strike at the weakest point. We need to. The command center's alert system suddenly blared to life. Red warning lights pulsing as sensors detected a new disturbance. Dr. Gray's fingers flew across her console, her expression transitioning from concern to alarm. Massive dimensional disruption forming in Sector 4. She reported. Energy signature is unlike any previous breach. The holographic display shifted to show real-time footage from security cameras. A swirling vortex of crystal line energy was forming in a downtown park, its structure fundamentally different from the previous tiers. While the earlier breaches had been jagged, unstable rents in reality, this manifestation assembled itself with geometric precision, a dimensional doorway rather than a chaotic tear. That's not Vilgax's style, Ben stated with certainty, already reaching for the Omnitrix. This is something else. Maya immediately shifted to tactical mode. Rangers, move out. Full team deployment. Ben caught her arm gently but firmly. Wait, look at the energy pattern. It's Petrosapian in origin. Zara studied the readings with narrowed eyes. Petrosapian, one of your alien species. Diamondhead species, Ben confirmed. But this isn't random. That crystalline formation is a controlled transit portal. Someone's coming through deliberately, and they know what they're doing. The Rangers exchanged glances, years of teamwork allowing silent communication of concerns and questions. Maya made her decision quickly. Ben, Zara, with me to investigate. Trent, Jessica, Kiana, maintain alert status and monitor the other breach points. If this is a diversion, I want to know immediately. Ben nodded approval at the tactical distribution. Smart. If I'm wrong, you still have most of your team ready to respond. I didn't ask for your validation, Maya replied coolly, though without genuine hostility. Dr. Gray, prepare emergency teleportation if needed. Already programmed. Drive. Gray confirmed, her focus divided between multiple monitoring systems. Be careful. The dimensional frequency is stabilizing. But it's creating harmonic disturbances in the local morphing grid. Ben activated the Omnitrix, cycling through his alien roster. If it is Petrosapians, I should greet them as one of their own. Less threatening that way, unless it's a trap, Maya countered. Ben's expression showed he'd considered that possibility. Always is. But sometimes you need to take calculated risks. With practiced motion, he selected Diamondhead and transformed in a flash of green light. The hybrid form that emerged combined the crystalline alien's natural structure with distinctive Ranger-inspired armor components. Energy circuitry ran through his transparent body like glowing veins, the Omnitrix symbol now surrounded by a small chestplate bearing geometric patterns reminiscent of the morphing grid's fundamental structure. Let's find out who's knocking, Ben said, his transformed voice resonating with crystalline harmonics. The downtown park had been hastily evacuated by local authorities, the cry. Stalin portal's expansion having triggered automated emergency protocols. Police barricades established a perimeter 300 meters from the phenomenon, beyond which gathered the inevitable crow. WD of curious onlookers armed with recording devices. Maya, Zara, and Ben materialized at the edge of the evacuation zone, their arrival drawing excited murmurs from civilians who recognized the Ranger's teleportation signature. Maya immediately established communication with the police commander, her authority evident despite her youth. Ranger situation, she stated simply, showing her identification. We'll handle containment from here. The officer nodded respectfully. Area is clear to the perimeter. No civilian casualties reported. Whatever that thing is, it appeared slowly enough for full evacuation. Maintain the cordon, Maya instructed. If anything changes, pull back immediately. With the formalities addressed, The three approached the crystalline portal, which now dominated the central pavilion. Standing nearly 20 feet tall, the structure resembled a perfect octagonal doorway composed of interlocking crystal formations that shifted and realigned continuously, maintaining the opening's integrity while adjusting to dimensional pressures. Definitely Petrosapian technology, Ben confirmed, running a crystalline hand along the edge of the formation. But far more advanced than anything I've seen before. Zara scanned the structure with Ranger equipment, her movements precise and methodical. The quantum signature is similar to yours, Ben, but with significant variations. The crystalline lattice is encoding vast amounts of information, like a dimensional map. Someone went to a lot of trouble to create a stable transit point, Maya observed, maintaining tactica L distance while assessing potential threats. Question is, are they running towards something or away from something? The portal's center suddenly pulsed with brilliant light, the crystalline frame vibrating at increasing frequency. Ben stepped protectively in front of the Rangers, his body instinctively forming defensive crystal formations across his arms and chest. Something's coming through, he warned. The portal's center rippled like liquid mercury, then parted as a figure emerged, humanoid but clearly not human. Composed entirely of pale blue-green crystal similar to Ben's diamond head form. The newcomer stood nearly as tall as him with a feminine physique made no less imposing by its crystalline nature. Geometric patterns were etched into her form, not Ranger technology, but something similar in fundamental design. She stepped through completely, the portal contracting behind her until it collapsed in on itself, leaving only scattered crystal fragments that dissipated into energy. Her crystalline eyes, faceted like gemstones, surveyed her surroundings before fixing on Ben with unmistakable recognition. Omnitrix wielder, she addressed him in a voice that resonated like wind through crystal formations. You are far from your designated dimensional coordinates. Ben maintained his defensive posture but relaxed slightly at her non-aggressive approach. Could say the same about you. Not many Petrosapians dimensional hopping these days. The crystalline visitor studied him more carefully, noting the hybrid nature of his form. You've integrated with this dimension's energy matrix. Interesting adaptation. Her attention shifted to Maya and Zara. Local defenders, I presume. Your energy signatures are distinctive. Maya stepped forward, placing herself beside Ben rather Han behind him, a subtle assertion of equal standing. I'm Maya Chen, Red Ranger. This is Zara Khatri, Blue Ranger. We protect this dimension from threats, including uninvited visitors. I am Adamanta, daughter of Tetrax Shard. Petrosapian Crystal Guard. The visitor introduced herself formally, her crystalline body shifting to display what appeared to be an insignia etched into her shoulder, a complex geometric pattern surrounding a starburst design. I come seeking my father, who disappeared while tracking dimensional anomalies connected to the Omnitrix. Ben's crystalline features shifted in surprise. Tetrax. He's your father. He never mentioned having a daughter. You know my father. Adamanta's crystalline form tensed slightly, a reaction equivalent to raised eyebrows in a human. We've fought together many times. Ben confirmed. He's helped me master the Omnitrix on multiple occasions. Last I saw him was about 6 months ago in my timeline. Adamanta processed this information, her crystalline structure subtly shifting colors in what appeared to be an emotional response. This confirms my theory. The dimensional disturbances are affecting multiple points in the timeline simultaneously. My father disappeared 3 cycles ago from our perspective. Zara's scientific curiosity visibly overrode her caution. You're tracking him through dimensional breaches. That would require incredibly sophisticated quantum mapping technology. Petrosapians possess natural affinity for crystalline matrix manipulation, Adamanta explained. Our bodies can attune to dimensional frequencies when properly trained. The Crystal Guard specializes in maintaining barriers between realities. Maya maintained her professional demeanor, though Ben noted her posture had relaxed slightly. You mentioned anomalies connected to the Omnitrix. What exactly are you tracking? Adamanta turned to Ben. The Omnitrix generates distinctive energy signatures when it interacts with dimensional boundaries. Recent disturbances showed multiple signatures converging on this reality, including one matching my father's tracking beacon. Vilgax, Ben concluded grimly. He must have captured Tetrax during transit. The Conqueror is here. Alarm rippled through Adamanta's crystalline form, causing facets to briefly sharpen into defensive configurations before she regained control. This confirms our worst fears. The Dimensional Incursion Protocol has been activated. Maya's expression hardened. That sounds ominous and official. Care to elaborate? Adamanta hesitated, crystalline eyes assessing the Rangers with military precision. After a moment's consideration, she spoke with formal gravity. The Crystal Guard monitors dimensional boundaries across multiple realities. When patterns of deliberate breaches are detected, it triggers protocol responses. What you're experiencing isn't random, it's a calculated dimensional invasion strategy. We figured that much, Ben said. Vilgax and a local villain named Draken are attempting to merge Omnitrix technology with something called the Morphing Grid. It's worse than that, Adamanta corrected, her crystalline voice resonating with deeper tones of concern. The pattern of breaches surrounding your city forms a Chronos configuration, a dimensional fracture pattern designed to collapse reality barriers permanently. Zara's eyes widened with scientific horror. Collapse reality barriers. That would cause catastrophic universal feedback. Both dimensions would suffer uncontrolled energy exchange until mutual destruction. Precisely, Adamanta confirmed, which is why the Crystal Guard dispatched multiple agents to track and neutralize the threat. My father was the first. When his signal became stationary in this dimension, I followed. Maya's tactical mind processed the strategic implications immediately. So Vilgax and Draken aren't just trying to merge technologies, they're deliberately destabilizing the boundaries between dimensions. But why? Ben questioned. Vilgax conquers worlds, he doesn't destroy them. Dimensional collapse wouldn't leave him anything to rule. Adamanta's crystalline structure shifted in what appeared to be their equivalent of a grim expression. Unless they've found a way to harness the collapse itself, to channel the energy release into a containment system. The ley lines, Zara realized, the color draining from her face. They're not just using them to amplify power, they're creating a channeling network for dimensional collapse energy. Maya immediately activated her communicator. Dr. Gray, we have new information about the breach network. It's called a Chronos configuration, designed to collapse dimensional barriers. Check if the ley lines could function as an energy channeling system. Dr. Gray's voice came through with alarm evident even through the digital connection. A channeling system. Hold on. The sound of rapid typing followed. The ley line convergence point is directly beneath the command center. If they're using it to channel dimensional collapse energy, they could absorb the power of both collapsing dimensions. Ben finished, the horrific genius of the plan becoming clear. Creating a pocket reality they control while everything else is destroyed. Adamanta nodded solemnly. The Crystal Guard has encountered similar attempts before, though never at this scale or with technology as powerful as the Omnitrix involved. Maya's leadership instincts took over, pushing aside the overwhelming implications to focus on immediate action. We need to get back to the command center. If Adamanta's information is accurate, we're facing an extinction-level threat. I will accompany you, Adamanta stated rather than requested. My tracking abilities may help locate my father and counter the Chronos configuration. Ben reverted to human form, the green light washing over him as he returned to his natural state. She's right. If Tetrax is being held by Vilgax, he's likely being forced to help stabilize the breaches. Petrosapian crystal technology would be perfect for that. Maya nodded curtly, making the tactical decision quickly. Agreed. Dr. Gray, 4 for teleport to command. As the teleportation energy surrounded them, Ben caught Adamanta studying him with intense crystalline eyes. You've changed since my father's descriptions, she observed. He spoke of an impulsive young wielder. You seem tempered. 9 years of saving the universe will do that, Ben replied with a half smile. Looking forward to hearing his stories about me, though. If we survive this dimensional collapse, Adamanta responded without humor as the teleportation light engulfed them completely. The command center had transformed from research facility to Chrysa's management headquarters in the 3 days since the initial confrontation. Additional monitoring stations surrounded the central command platform, each displaying different aspects of the dimensional breaches. The crystalline formations that had once been decorative now pulsed with energy, responding to the morphing grid disturbances. Dr. Gray looked up from her primary console as the team materialized, her expression brightening momentarily at the sight of a new Petrosapian before refocusing on the crisis. The readings match Adamanta's description. The breach network is exhibiting precisely why the energy pattern of a controlled dimensional collapse system. Kiana, who had been meditating near one of the crystal formations, opened her eyes and rose fluidly to her feet. The Earth's energy is changing, she reported. The ley lines are becoming conduits for something foreign, like rivers flowing backward. Trent and Jessica joined them from the adjacent training area, both still in Werko. Oud attire that showcased their ranger colors. Jessica's analytical gaze immediately assessed Adamanta while Trent's more open expression showed undisguised fascination with the crystalline visitor. "So we've got another alien ally?" Trent asked, extending a hand to Adamanta with characteristic friendliness. "Welcome to the increasingly weird world of Angel Grove." Adamanta stared at his extended and with momentary confusion before understanding the gesture and carefully extending her crystalline fingers. "Your world's weirdness is merely a symptom of dimensional boundary degradation. She's fun at parties," Ben commented with a small smile, though the gravity of the situation kept his usual humor subdued. Maya immediately took control of the briefing, her leadership style efficient without being brusque. "Adamanta has provided critical intelligence about what we're facing. Dr. Gray, display the Chronos configuration mapping." The central holographic display shifted to show the network of dimensional breaches interconnected by ley lines, a perfect geometric pattern with the command center at its center. "The Chronos configuration is designed to create controlled dimensional collapse," Maya explained for those just joining. "Vilgax and Draken aren't just trying to merge our technologies, they're planning to destroy both our dimensions while harvesting the energy to create their own pocket reality." The revelation sent a ripple of shock through those hearing it for the first time. Jessica's scientific mind immediately began processing implications while Trent's expression shifted from friendly to grimly determined. "How long do we have?" Jessica asked, cutting straight to the critical question. Dr. Gray manipulated the display to show energy progression rates. "Based on Rent breach expansion and energy accumulation, approximately 36 hours until the configuration reaches critical stability. After which, collapse becomes inevitable," Adamanta added, her crystalline voice somber. Kiana approached the hologram, studying the energy flow patterns with her unique perception. "The energy isn't just flowing toward the center, it's cycling through these 7 points, building resonance with each cycle. Like a prayer wheel gathering momentum. That gives us our strategy," Ben said, stepping up to the display. 9 years of world-saving experience evident in his immediate tactical assessment. "We need to disrupt the cycle by neutralizing the breach points simultaneously." Zara shook her head, calculations already running behind her analytical eyes. 7 breach points, 6 rangers plus Ben and Adamanta. Even with perfect coordination, we can't maintain simultaneous disruption with our current resources. "Then we need more resources," Maya concluded pragmatically. "Dr. Gray, is there any way to create disruption devices that could be remotely activated?" Dr. Gray tugged thoughtfully at a loose strand of auburn hair. "Theoretically, yes, we could defy Ranger technology to generate counter frequencies at each breach point. But they would need precise calibration to each breach's specific dimensional signature. Which means on-site programming," Zara added. "We'd need teams at each location to set up and calibrate the disruptors." Ben studied the holographic display, tactical options flowing through his mind. "We need to prioritize some BR. Each points must be more critical than others based on their position in the energy flow." Adamanta approached the hologram, her crystalline hand passing through the light to interact with the display. In a way the others couldn't, her Petrosipian structure allowing direct manipulation of the energy representation. The hologram responded, certain pathways brightening as she isolated key junctions. Quote, 3 primary nodes control the configuration stability, she identified, highlighting them on the display. "Disrupt these, and the entire network will destabilize temporarily." Temporarily being the key word, Drive. Gray noted, "Without something to permanently seal the breaches, they'll reform within hours." "My father might know how," Adamanta said. "The Crystal Guard has developed technology specifically designed for dimensional breach repair. If Vilgax has captured him, he likely has that technology as well." Ben's expression brightened with sudden realization. "The dimensional shifter that brought me here, it wasn't random. Vilgax must have used Tetrax's technology to create a controlled bridge between dimensions. Which means the primary control mechanism is likely at their central base of operations, Maya concluded. We need intelligence on their headquarters location. Kiana spoke up, her intuitive understanding adding crucial insight. The energy flows have a harmonic resonance. CE point, a place where the dimensional frequencies align perfectly. That would be the ideal location for their operations. Zara quickly ran calculations on her tablet. Based on the configuration geometry and energy flow patterns, that convergence point would be here. She highlighted a location on the outskirts of Angel Grove, an abandoned research facility surrounded by woods. The old quantum dynamics laboratory. Perfect villainous hideout, Ben noted. Isolated, designed for energy research, probably has shielding against detection. Maya's tactical mind formulated a plan immediately. We need 3 simultaneous operations. Team 1 disrupts the primary breach nodes. Team 2 investigates the quantum dynamics facility for Vilgax and Draken's base. Team 3 remains here to develop the permanent sealing technology with Dr. Gray. The leadership decision came naturally, without need for discussion. Zara, you'll lead Team 3 with Dr. Gray. Your scientific expertise is crucial. Al for developing the sealing technology. Kiana and Trent, you'll handle the northern breach node. Jessica, you take the eastern node. Ben and I will investigate the western node, which is closest to the quantum facility. I should accompany the facility investigation team, Adamanta stated. My tracking abilities can locate my father if he's being held there. Maya nodded agreement. Amended PLA. N. Adamanta joins Ben and me for the western node and facility investigation. Dr. Gray moved to a storage unit, retrieving specialized equipment. I've been developing these breach analyzers based on Ben's Omnitrix energy signature. They should help identify weaknesses in the dimensional tiers. As the team prepared, gathering equipment and reviewing tactical information, Ben found himself standing beside Adamanta near one of the command center's crystal formations. The Petrosapian warrior maintained a stoic demeanor, but Ben recognized the subtle signs of concern in her crystalline structure. Having transformed into Diamondhead enough times to understand the species' physical expressions. We'll find your father, he assured her quietly. Tetrax is one of the toughest fighters I know. Amanta's crystalline eyes fixed on him with penetrating intensity. My father spoke of your determination. He said it was your most admirable quality, more important than the Omnitrix itself. Ben smiled slightly. He never mentioned having a daughter. Our relationship is complicated, Adamanta admitted. I followed his path into the Crystal Guard against his wishes. He believed the dimensional patrol duty too dangerous. Sounds like Tetrax, protective of those he cares about. Ben glanced toward the Rangers preparing for their mission. How long have you been tracking him? 3 lunar cycles, she replied. His last transmission mentioned the Omnitrix wielder and a dimensional convergence threat. Then silence. Before Ben could respond, Maya approached, now in her pre-morphed tactical gear with red accents. We move out in 5 minutes. Ben, which alien form would be most effective for breach analysis? Ben considered the options, mentally reviewing his roster. Gray matter for pure analysis. But he's too physically vulnerable. Brainstorm has both intelligence and defensive capabilities. Or I could go with Diamondhead for compatibility with Adamanta's abilities. Your hybrid D-Ranger forms have shown increased effectiveness in counter-dimensional operations, Zara noted, joining them with tactical data. The morphing grid integration seems to stabilize your transformations against dimensional interference. Brainstorm it is, Ben decided. Brain power plus electrical manipulation should give us options. He activated the Omnitrix, cycling through the holographic disc. Lay before selecting the crab-like cerebrocrustacean alien. The transformation engulfed him in green light, restructuring his DNA into the highly intelligent alien form. When the light faded, Brainstorm stood before them, but like previous transformations, the hybrid version featured distinctive Ranger elements integrated into his exoskeleton. Circuit-like patterns glowed along his shell, and a SMA LL chestplate surrounded the Omnitrix symbol. The cerebral enhancement is most efficacious for our current predicament, Ben stated in Brainstorm's formal, slightly pompous tone, his enhanced CRA. Neum opening slightly to reveal the glowing brain within. I shall endeavor to analyze the dimensional breach parameters with maximum efficiency. Maya raised an eyebrow at the dramatic change in CH pattern but maintained her professional focus. Team communications check. All Rangers on secure frequency Delta. Each team member confirmed communication systems, testing their connections through the morphing grid enhanced network. Dr. Gray distributed the final equipment, specialized disruption devices for each breach team. The calibrators need 15 seconds of direct exposure to the breach to synchronize, she explained. Once calibrated, they'll generate a counter frequency that should temporarily destabilize the energy flow. Remember, we need simultaneous disruption, Maya emphasized. Synchronize timing to my mark once all teams are in position. With final preparations complete, the teams moved to their designated teleportation platforms. Ben, still in his enhanced brainstorm form, positioned himself beside Maya and Adamanta. The probability of success would be significantly enhanced if we could communicate directly with Tetrax, he observed. Adamanta, does the Krista L-Guard maintain any form of quantum entanglement communication that might bypass conventional jamming techniques? Adamanta's crystalline structure shifted subtly, the equivalent of a thoughtful expression. Crystal Guard medallions maintain harmonic resonance regardless of dimensional barriers. If my father still possesses his, I may be able to establish limited contact through mine. Try during transit, Maya suggested as the teleportation sequence initiated. Any intelligence advantage would be welcome. Energy enveloped the three teams simultaneously, breaking their molecular structures into data patterns that traveled through the morphing grid network to their designated coordinates. As the command center faded from view, Ben's enhanced brainstorm mind calculated their odds of UCCESS with disturbing precision, and found them far lower than he would have preferred to acknowledge. The western breach site materialized around them, a city park transformed by the dimensional tear hovering 15 feet above the ground. Unlike the controlled portal Adamanta had created, this breach resembled a jagged wound in reality itself, its edges shifting and pulsing with unstable energy. The surrounding vegetation had been affected by dimensional bleed-through, trees and grass exhibiting strange properties, some areas fossilized to stone, others transformed into crystalline structures. Some shifting between states in disconcerting ripples. Most fascinating, Ben observed through Brainstorm's scientific perspective. The dimensional boundary erosion is affecting local quantum states, causing matter to fluctuate between properties from both realities. Maya immediately established a perimeter, her tactical training evident in her efficient assessment of the area. No civilians present, perimeter secure. Beginning breach assessment, she activated her communicator. Western team in position. Proceeding with calibrator setup. Eastern team in position, Jessica's voice confirmed over the communication network. Northern team arriving now, Trent reported moments later. Maya nodded to Ben. Begin analysis while I set up the disruptor. Ben moved closer to the breach, his ENHANCED cranial capacity processing enormous amounts of data simultaneously. Electrical energy crackled between his pincers as he projected scanning fields into the dimensional tier. The breach exhibits its quasi-stable harmonic oscillation between dimensional frequencies, he reported. Primary energy flow directionality is counterclockwise through the configuration network, with amplitude modulation suggesting controlled harvesting. Adamanta approached from the opposite side, her crystalline body resonating slightly with the breach energy. This was created using Crystal Guard technology, but modified with alien components I don't recognize. Vilgax's handiwork, no doubt, Ben commented. He's notorious for hybridizing technologies from conquered worlds. Maya finished positioning the disruption device. Its sleek design featuring the same crystalline components that characterized Ranger technology. Calibration sequence initiating. 15 seconds to synchronization. As the device hummed to life, Ben's enhanced senses detected a subtle change in the breach's energy pattern. Most concerning, the breach appears to be responding to the calibrator's activation with adaptive countermeasures. Countermeasures? Maya questioned sharply. Dr. Gray didn't mention adaptive capabilities. Because they shouldn't possess such functionality, Adamanta stated, her crystalline structure tensing into more angular defensive configurations. Unless the breach suddenly pulsed, expanding briefly before contracting with violent force. The disruption device sparked as its calibration sequence was interrupted by the energy fluctuation. Fascinating and alarming in equal measure, Ben observed, his brainstorm form already calculating adjustments. The breaches appear to be semi-sentient, or at least programmed with defensive protocols. Maya immediately reported to the other teams. Western breach exhibiting defensive countermeasures. Use caution during calibration. Similar rapport. TS came in from the other sites, each breach responding to the disruption attempts with increasingly sophisticated countermeasures. The intelligence behind the Kronos configuration was evidently more advanced than they had anticipated. Ben moved to the disruption device, electrical energy flowing from his brain through his pincers to interface with the technology. I believe I can reconfigure the P-Haze variants to bypass the adaptive shielding. A moment of cerebral exertion should suffice. As he worked, Adamanta suddenly went rigid, her crystalline structure emitting a faint harmonic tone. Contact, she announced. Faint but present. My father's medallion is responding. Maya immediately focused on this development. Can you communicate? Get a location. Not communication, only resonance, Adamanta clarified. Her concentration evident in the subtle vibrations rippling through her form. But the resonance pattern contains positional data. He is northwest, approximately 3 kilometers. The signal is distorted by interference, but consistent with the quantum facility's location. That confirms our intelligence, Maya noted. Ben, status on the disruptor. Recalibration complete, Ben announced. Closing his cranial shell, the modified frequency should penetrate the adaptive shielding. However, I calculate only an 82.7% probability of successful synchronization with the other disruption points. Maya nodded, accepting the uncertainty as part of the mission parameters. We'll proceed with disruption as planned, then immediately investigate the quantum facility. She activated her morphing grid communicator. All teams, status report. Eastern team ready, Jessica confirmed. Disruption device calibrated despite significant countermeasures. Northern team, Trent's voice came through with concerning static interference. Under attack, some kind of dimensional sentinels. Maya's expression hardened with concern. Trent, report, what's your situation? Kiana's voice replaced Trent's, her normally calm tone tight with urgency. Crystalline entities emerged from the breach. They appear to be security constructs, not fully sentient but programmed for defense. Trent is engaging while I complete calibration. Adamanta's crystalline eyes narrowed. Kronos Guardians, automatic defense mechanisms built into crystal guard breach seals. They've corrupted our technology. Most troubling development, Ben assessed, already reaching for the Omnitrix symbol to select a more combat-oriented transformation. Maya, I suggest you proceed with disruption while Adamanta and I provide tactical support to the northern team. Maya shook her head firmly. Negative. We maintain our original plan. Team cohesion is essential. She touched her morpher, her stance shifting to the formal position that preceded Ranger transformation. It's morphin time. Red energy engulfed her as the morphing grid responded to her command, materializing her Ranger armor in a cascade of power that rippled outward. The Phoenix Ranger stood before them, her armor gleaming with power enhanced by her natural confidence and leadership presence. I'll maintain the Western disruption point, she stated, her voice carrying the harmonics of morphing grid energy. Ben, transform and prepare for facility infiltration immediately following disruption. Adamanta, continue tracking your father's signal. We'll move the moment disruption is complete. Ben nodded, respecting her command despite his concern for the northern team. He touched the Omnitrix symbol on his brainstorm form, CYC. Ling through available transformations before selecting one suited for both combat and infiltration. Green light engulfed him as he transformed into XLR-8, the velociraptor-like Kinesolaran whose speed made him ideal for rapid response situations. Like previous transformations, this hybrid form featured distinctive Ranger-inspired modifications, sleek armor integrated into his blue-black skin, energy circuits running along his limbs, and a visor enhanced with morphing grid-powered targeting systems. Ready when you are, Ben confirmed, his transformed voice carrying the slight vibrato characteristic of Kinesolarans. Though I still calculate significant risk to the northern team, Calculated risk is part of Ranger operations, Maya replied with professional determination. All teams, prepare for synchronized disruption on my mark. 3, 2, 1, execute. All 3 disruption devices activated simultaneously, sending precisely calibrated counter frequencies into their respective breaches. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The tiers in reality convulsed, their edges distorting as the energy flow pattern was forcibly interrupted. The western breach before them flared with brilliant light as its carefully maintained dimensional frequency was disrupted. Energy discharges lashed outward, forcing them to take defensive positions. Ben's enhanced speed allowed him to dodge random energy bolts while Maya's Ranger armor absorbed those that came her way. Disruption at 60%, 70%, Maya reported, monitoring the readings on her Ranger tech scanner. Energy flow interruption confirmed. Eastern disruption holding, Jessica reported through increasingly static-filled communications. Breach destabilizing according to parameters. Trent's voice broke through next, background noise indicating ongoing combat. Northern disruption, partially effective. Guardian construct still active. The western breach suddenly contracted violently, its jagged edges pulling N ward before expanding in a pulse of energy that washed across the park. The disruption device sparked and went dark, its components fused by the energy backlash. Disruption complete but temporary, Maya assessed quickly. We have minutes before the breach begins reforming. Move to phase 2 immediately. Ben nodded, his XLR-8 form ideally suited for rapid transit. I can get us to the quantum facility in under 30 seconds. Adamanta approached, her crystalline form still resonating with her father's distant signal. My tracking will be more precise in closer proximity. Let's move, Maya commanded, already sprinting toward the facility's coordinates with Ranger-enhanced speed. Ben moved alongside, deliberately moderating his kinesolaran velocity to match their pace. Any word from the command center on the sealing technology? Dr. Gray reports promising progress, Maya replied as they ran. Zara's expertise with the morphing grid has accelerated development. Estimated completion within 3 hours. Insufficient time margin, Ben assessed. The breach network will reform within 1 hour based on current decay rates. We need to locate and neutralize the central control mechanism. Adamanta, whose crystalline physiology granted her surprising speed despite her mineral composition, kept pace easily. The resonance is strengthening. My father is definitely within the facility. They crossed the perimeter of the park, entering the wooded area that separated it from the abandoned quantum dynamics laboratory. The trees here showed signs of dimensional bleed-through as well, some partially crystallized. Others exhibiting properties that defied conventional physics. Patches of ground shimmered with energy residue, requiring careful navigation. Ben's enhanced senses detect the change first, a subtle shift in the environmental energy pattern that raised immediate alarm. Perimeter defense system ahead. Dimensional distortion field. His warning came just as they encountered an invisible barrier that rippled with energy when Maya nearly collided with it. The air shimmered, revealing a dome-like field surrounding the facility ahead, not a physical barrier but a dimensional phase variance that would likely have catastrophic effects on anyone attempting to pass through unprotected. Phase variance shield, Adamanta identified. It shifts anything passing through into a different dimensional frequency, essentially trapping intruders between realities. Maya studied the barrier with tactical assessment. Can we disrupt it? Ben considered the options, his XLR-8 form. Enhanced neural processing analyzing possibilities at accelerated speed. Possibly. The Omnitrix's hybrid connection to the morphing grid might allow us to match the phase variance. There's another option, Adamanta suggested. Approaching the barrier, she placed her crystalline hands against the energy field, her body resonating at increasing frequency until small fractures appeared in the barrier's coherence. Crystal Guard training includes phase harmonization techniques. I can create a temporary passage. The effort clearly strained her crystalline body, developing stress fractures that self-repaired at a visible rate. Nevertheless, her manipulation created a visible aperture in the barrier, a tunnel of stabilized space approximately 2 meters in diameter. I can maintain this for approximately 3 minutes, she stated, her voice strained by the effort. We must move quickly. Maya nodded, immediately taking point. All lead. Ben, rear guard. Adamanta, Stay between us to maintain the tunnel. They moved through the opening in formation, the barrier attempting to reseal itself around them as they progressed. Adamanta's continuous phase manipulation kept it at bay, though He strain on her crystalline form became increasingly evident. The tunnel led them to the edge of the quantum facility grounds, a complex of low buildings surrounding a central laboratory structure with a distinctive domed roof. The entire facility appeared abandoned at first glance, with overgrown vegetation and deteriorating exterior. However, Ben's enhanced senses detected power signatures inconsistent with an abandoned site. Active energy readings throughout the complex, he reported, concentrated in the central building and what appears to be an underground level. As they cleared the barrier, Adamanta released her hold on the phase variance, the tunnel collapsing behind them. Her crystalline form showed visible strain, microfractures running through her structure before slowly repairing themselves. My father's signal is stronger, she reported despite her obvious fatigue. Underground level, Western Quadrant. Maya assessed their options with practiced efficiency. Direct approach is too risky. We need intelligence before engagement. She turned to Ben. Your XLR-8 form could perform reconnaissance without detection. Ben nodded. I can scout the entire complex in under a minute. Targeting priorities, entry points, security systems, and power source locations, Maya listed precisely. Don't engage unless absolutely necessary. Back in a flash, Ben assured them, then accelerated to his form's full capacity, moving so quickly that he became a blue-black blur streaking across the complex grounds. At super speed, the world around him slowed to near stillness, allowing detailed observation without detection. He circled the facility perimeter first, identifying surveillance systems, most conventional but some employing dimensional phase variance technology similar to the perimeter barrier. The central building featured multiple entry points, all secured with both conventional and exotic technological measures. Most concerning was what he found beneath the dome's Entral Laboratory. A massive excavation had created a chamber extending deep underground, accessible via service elevators in each building. Energy readings spiked dramatically around this underground complex, suggesting it housed the primary operations. Completing his reconnaissance circuit, Ben returned to Maya and Adamanta's position in less than 30 seconds of real time. Facility is definitely active, he reported, speaking rapidly even for his XLR-8 form. Security includes standard and dimensional phase technology. Main operations underground, accessible via service elevators. Eastern building has minimal security coverage, likely our best entry point. Maya processed the information with impressive speed. Tetrax's location. Adamanta concentrated on the resonance signal. Underground level, Western Quadrant. The signal is stronger but fluctuating. He may be contained in a dimensional dampening field. Then our objective is clear, Maya decided. Enter through the eastern building, access the underground level. Locate Tetrax and any dimensional control technology. Ben, can you transport both of us at XLR-8 speed? Ben considered the question. Not simultaneously and not at full speed. But I could move each of you sequentially at reduced velocity, still faster than conventional movement. That leaves one of us exposed during transit, Maya noted. Too risky. We move as a unit using conventional stealth. Ben, maintain that form for emergency extraction if needed. The tactical approach was sound. Ben nodded agreement, impressed with Maya's strategic thinking despite her relative youth. Lead the way, Commander. They proceeded toward the eastern building using natural cover from the overgrown vegetation. Maya moved with the practiced stealth of professional tactical training, while Adamanta's crystalline form, despite its seemingly rigid nature, proved surprisingly adaptable to covert movement. The eastern building, once housing administrative offices based on its layout, featured a loading dock with minimal security coverage. Maya bypassed the electronic lock using Ranger technology, granting them access to a dusty corridor lined with abandoned offices. Survey. CE elevator should be at the central junction, Ben whispered, his XLR-8 form's enhanced senses alert for any security response. They moved through the abandoned offices, the evidence of hasty evacuatee. On still visible years later, personal items left behind, coffee cups still on desks, paperwork scattered as if the occupants had fled in panic. The overall effect was unsettling, creating an atmosphere of frozen catastrophe. What happened here? Maya wondered aloud, examining a photograph still sitting on a dust-covered desk, a smiling family whose lives had been interrupted by whatever disaster had struck. The facility was researching quantum barrier technology, Adamanta stated, her crystalline eyes somehow conveying solemnity despite their inhuman nature. According to Crystal Guard records, they experienced a containment breach approximately 6 of your years ago. The dimensional instability was contained, but the facility was deemed unsafe for conventional habitation, making it perf. ECT for villains with dimensional technology, Ben concluded. The residual energy patterns would mask their activities from most detection systems. They reached the central junction where a service elevator stood with doors partially open, as if power had failed during its operation years ago. Maya pried the doors open further, revealing an elevator car suspended several feet below the opening. No power, she observed. We'll need to climb down the shaft to reach the underground level. Ben touched the Omnitrix symbol on his chest. Let me switch to something better suited for this. Green light engulfed him as he transformed into Spider-Monkey, a four-armed simian alien with enhanced agility and web-spinning abilities. The hybrid Ranger version featured the same integrated armor component, TS and energy circuits as his previous forms, the blue fur accented with design elements reminiscent of Ranger technology. The Omnitrix symbol on his chest pulsed with steady green light. I can carry both of you down, he offered, his transformed voice carrying Spider-Monkey's characteristic chattering quality. Maya nodded agreement. Proceed, but maintain stealth protocols. We don't know what sensors might be active in the shaft. Ben secured Maya and Adamanta with webbing strong enough to support their weight but flexible enough for comfortable transport. Using his form's natural climbing abilities enhanced by Ranger technology, he navigated the elevator shaft with impressive speed and silence. The darkness posed no challenge thanks to his enhanced vision, allowing him to avoid potential sensor triggers as they descended. The shaft extended nearly 200 feet underground before opening onto a sublevel that contrasted dramatically with the abandoned facility above. Here, advanced technology hummed with active power. Lighting systems cast everything in a clinical glow, and the sterile environment spoke of ongoing operations. Ben lowered his companions to the sublevel access platform, dissolving the webbing as they regained their footing. Maya immediately assessed their surroundings with tactical precision, noting security camera placement and patrol patterns visible through the reinforced glass walls separating the elevator access from the main facility. 2 guard rotations, 5-minute intervals, she whispered. Mixed species, some human, others definitely not. Gax employs mercenaries from multiple conquered worlds, Ben explained, his Spider-Monkey form crouched in a position that allowed quick movement in any direction. The squid-faced ones are his personal guard, Chimera sui generis warriors. Adamanta's attention focused elsewhere, her crystalline body resonating with increasing intensity. My father's signal is stronger. Western quadrant, approximatal, Y200 meters through the complex. Maya studied the facility layout visible through the glass. Central chamber appears to be the primary research area. Large energy signatures consistent with dimensional technology. That's our primary target, Ben noted. Find Tetrax, secure the dimensional control technology, get out. Agreed. Maya touched her morpher, considering their options. More Fing would increase our combat capabilities but also make us more detectable. We should maintain stealth as long as possible. The decision was made for them when a patrol of guards rounded the corner. Ahead, 2 humans in advanced tactical gear and one of Vilgax's squid-faced warriors. The elevator access area offered no concealment, leaving them exposed to immediate discovery. Maya reacted instantly. It's morphin time. Red energy engulfed her as the morphing grid responded to her command, materializing her Ranger armor in a cascade of power. Simultaneously, Ben touched the Omnitrix symbol, transforming from Spider-Monkey to Humungosaur, a massive dinosaur-like alien whose size and strength made him ideal for direct confrontation. The hybrid Ranger version stood 12 feet tall, his ska-led body enhanced with armor plating that incorporated both his natural defenses and Ranger technology. Energy circuits glowed along strategic points of his massive frame, and the Omnitrix symbol on his chest was surrounded by a distinctive chest plate. The guards reacted with professional speed, raising energy weapons and activating communication devices. The Chimera sui generis warrior recognized Ben immediately. Eyes widening with alarm. Omnitrix wielder. It growled in its native language, which Ben understood in his transformed state. Intruder alert. Sector 7. Ben charged forward WITH surprising speed for his massive form, closing the distance before the guards could fire effectively. Sorry to crash the party, he quipped, sweeping his massive arm in an arc that sent all three guards flying without causing critical injury. Maya moved with Ranger-enhanced agility, disabling the communication devices with precision strikes. Alarm systems activated. Stealth is compromised. We move to direct approach. Adamanta's crystalline form reconfigured into combat mode, her limbs developing sharp edges and projectile capabilities. My father's signal is clearer now. Containment cell in the Western Laboratory section. Facility alarms blared to life, lighting systems shifting to emergency patterns as security protocols activated. Maya assessed their options with battlefield clarity. Ben, take point. Your current form can absorb the initial response. I'll provide tactical support. Adamanta, guide us to Tetrax's location. They moved through the facility with purposeful speed, no longer concerned with detection but focused on efficiency. Ben's massive hybrid form proved devastatingly effective at clearing paths through security response teams, his enhanced strength allowing controlled force that disabled rather than killed, despite his imposing appearance. Maya's Ranger abilities complemented his approach perfectly, her Phoenix-themed powers providing ranged support and precision strikes where needed. Together, they functioned like a team that had worked together for years rather than days, a testament to both their individual skills and adaptive capabilities. Adamant, led them through the complex with increasing urgency, her crystalline structure vibrating with resonant energy as they approached her father's location. We're close. Containment section ahead. The Y rounded a corner to face a heavily secured door, reinforced metal enhanced with energy fields designed specifically to contain powerful beings. The control panel beside it displayed alien technology, merged with Earth components, Vilgax's signature hybridization approach. I can breach it, Ben stated, raising his massive fists. Wait, Maya cautioned. Security system likely includes fail-safes. Bridge. Ute force might trigger a containment purge. Adamanta approached the control panel, her crystalline fingers reconfiguring to interface with the technology. Crystal Guard command codes may work if they're using my father's technology. She placed her transformed hand against the panel, crystalline structures merging with the interface in a display of advanced technological symbiosis. For several tense seconds, nothing happened. Then the panel flashed with acceptance patterns, and the door's locking mechanism disengaged with a heavy thunk. Access granted, Adamanta confirmed, relief evident despite her crystalline features. The door slid open to reveal a laboratory space converted to a containment facility. Various cells lined the walls, some holding unknown alien species in stasis fields, others empty but prepared for occupants. At the center stood a larger containment unit surrounded by monitoring equipment, and within it, suspended in a specialized energy field, was a male Petrosapian. Father. Adamanta rushed forward, her normally stoic demeanor breaking at the sight of Tetrax imprisoned. Tetrax Shard, a Petrosapian warrior Ben had known for years, hung suspended in the energy field. His crystalline body showing signs of forced extraction. Parts of his structure had been surgically removed, the crystalline pieces placed in analysis devices surrounding his containment unit. Tetrax, Ben breathed, horrified by his ally's condition. He touched the Omnitrix symbol, transforming back to human form to approach the containment field controls. Hold on, we'll get you out. Maya secured the entrance, her Ranger senses alert for approaching security forces. Work quickly, reinforcements will be here soon. Ben examined the containment field controls, recognizing components Fro. M multiple worlds, including Galvan technology similar to what Azimuth used in his own laboratory. This is a genetic extraction system. They're harvesting his crystalline DNA and technological knowledge. Adamanta placed her hands against the energy field, her own crystalline structure resonating with her father's. His core matrix is intact but weakened. They've been extracting his Crystal Guard knowledge. For the dimensional technology, Ben realized, working to deactivate the containment field safely. Tetrax's expertise in dimensional barriers is what they needed to stabilize the breaches. The containment field controls responded to Ben's input, the energy barrier flickering before dissipating completely. Tetrax's crystalline body slumped forward, no longer supported by the field. Adamanta caught him, her own structure providing support for his weakened form. "Daughter." Tetrax's voice was faint, his crystalline resonance patterns disrupted by the extraction process. "You shouldn't have come. I am Crystal Guard." Adamanta responded firmly. "As are you. Our duty transcends personal safety." Tetrax's crystalline eyes focused with effort, recognizing Ben with evident surprise. "Tennyson, you're older." "Long story," Ben replied with a small smile. "Dimensional travel, time differentials, the usual hero complications." "Can you move?" Tetrax attempted to stand independently but faltered. Crystalline fractures visible throughout his structure. Limited mobility. "They've harvested key structural components for their technology." Maya's voice interrupted urgently from the entrance. "Multiple security teams converging. We need to move now." Ben assessed their options rapidly. "Tetrax needs time to recover." "Maya, can you hold the entrance while I check the research data? We need to know exactly what they're planning." Maya nodded sharply, her Phoenix Ranger powers manifesting in a fiery aura around her. "I can buy you 2 minutes. No more." Ben moved to the central research console, quickly accessing the system using techniques he'd learned from his cousin Gwen. The security protocols were sophisticated but contained components he recognized from previous encounters with Vilgax's technology. "Got it," he announced after 10 seconds of interaction. "Project Morphitrix. They're not just creating dimensional breaches, they're building a device to control them." Adamanta looked up from where she was helping Tetrax recover. "Control them how?" "By combining the Omnitrix's transformative capabilities with something called the Zeo Crystal, apparently a power source from this dimension." Ben continued scanning the data with increasing alarm. "They're planning to create a device that can transform reality itself on a dimensional scale." Tetrax's weakened voice carried unexpected urgency. "The dimensional nexus. They've found it." "What nexus?" Ben questioned, still scanning through data files. "A theoretical point where all dimensions intersect," Tetrax explained with effort. "The Crystal Guard has protected its location for millennia. With the right technology, someone controlling the nexus could reshape reality across all dimensions simultaneously." The implications were staggering, beyond even the dimensional collapse threat they'd already identified. Ben downloaded as much data as possible to a portable device, his expression grim. "They're further along than we thought," he reported. "According to this, they've already constructed the Morphitrix prototype. They're preparing for final activation within 12 hours. Maya's voice came urgently from the entrance. "Time's up. Heavy security approaching." Ben made a swift decision, activating the Omnitrix to transform into Fast Track, another speedster alien similar to XLR-8 but with greater strength for carrying capacity. The hybrid Ranger version featured enhanced armor and energy circuits that glowed with morphing grid power. "I'll carry Tetrax," he stated, carefully lifting the injured Petrosapian. "Maya, lead the way to the central laboratory. We need to find that prototype before they activate it." Maya nodded, understanding the priority shift. "Eastern Corridor should avoid most direct access based on facility layout." Adamanta raised a crystalline hand in caution. "Wait, there's another priority." She moved to one of the laboratory storage units, accessing it with Crystal Guard authentication. The unit opened to reveal a sophisticated crystalline device approximately the size of a basketball. "The dimensional seal. With this, we could close all the breaches permanently." "Grab it," Ben directed. "That's our insurance policy if we can't stop the Morphitrix activation." As Adamanta secured the seal device, the laboratory entrance burst open, admitting a Saku Reti team led by a towering figure Ben recognized immediately, one of Vilgax's elite guards, a cybernetically enhanced warrior standing nearly 8 feet tall. "Intruders located," the guard announced into a communication device. "Containment breach in progress." Maya reacted instantly, her Phoenix Ranger powers manifesting in a sweeping arc of energy that temporarily blinded the security team. "Go, Eastern Corridor, all cover." Ben nodded, adjusting his grip on Tetrax. "Adamanta, stay close." His fast-track form accelerated, though not to full speed due to his injured passenger. They navigated the Eastern Corridor at enhanced velocity, Maya providing rear guard support with precision energy blasts that delayed pursuit without causing structural damage that might trap them. Adamanta kept pace, the dimensional seal secured against her crystalline body. The central laboratory should be ahead, Ben called, his enhanced senses detecting a massive energy signature beyond the upcoming security doors. Before they could reach it, a portion of the corridor wall exploded inward, debris forcing them to skid to a halt. Through the newly created opening stepped Lord Draken, his corrupted ranger armor radiating malevolent power. How predictable, Draken sneered, power crackling around his gauntleted fists. The heroes mount a rescue mission while ignoring the real threat. Maya moved to defensive position, her phoenix sword materializing in a flash of red energy. The real threat being your Morphitrix prototype. We know about the dimensional nexus, Draken. Surprise briefly flickered across Draken's face before his cold confidence returned. Knowing about it won't help you stop it. The convergence has already begun. Ben carefully set Tetrax down, placing himself between the injured Petrosipian and Draken. Where's your squid-faced partner? Let me guess, you're planning to double-cross him once the Morphitrix is activated. Vilgax has his uses, Draken replied dismissively. But the power of dimensional reality control belongs to those who understand true conquest. His attention shifted to Adamanta and the device she carried. The dimensional seal. How convenient that you've brought it directly to us. Adamanta's crystalline form shifted to combat configuration, sharp edges forming along her limbs. You will not touch Crystal Guard technology. Draken laughed coldly. I already have. Your father was quite informative once we found the right extraction methods. The taunt triggered Adamanta's rarely displayed emotion, her crystalline structure flaring with anger. You will pay for harming him. Adamanta, wait, Ben called, but too late. She had already launched herself at Draken, crystal blades formed from her limbs. Draken met her attack with practiced ease, his corrupted ranger powers allowing him to match even her crystalline strength. Energy crackled between them as they engaged, Draken's experience evident in his precise counters to her aggressive style. Maya moved to assist, her phoenix sword trailing fire as she entered the fray. The combined attack forced Draken to defensive posture, his corrupted armor absorbing blows that would have incapacitated lesser opponents. Ben needed to help but couldn't leave Tetrax unprotected. Making a swift decision, he transformed again, green light washing over him as he became Diamondhead, his Petros. A Peon form now enhanced with Ranger technology. The transformation completed just as security reinforcements arrived from the direction they'd come. Maya, Adamanta, get Tetrax to the central lab, he shouted, forming crystal barriers to block the security team's advance. I'll handle Draken and catch up. Maya disengaged from Draken, understanding the tactical priority. Adamanta, priority is the seal and your father. Fall back. For a moment, it seemed Adamanta would refuse, her combat engagement with Draken intensifying. Then Tetrax's weakened voice reached her. Daughter, the mission comes first. Always. The familiar counsel penetrated her battle focus. With visible reluctance, she disengaged, creating a crystal barrier between herself and Draken before retreating to Tetrax's position. Go, Ben urged, engaging Draken directly with a barrage of crystal projectiles. Get to the central lab. Maya helped Adamanta support Tetrax, the three retreating toward the central laboratory as Ben faced Draken alone. The corrupted ranger's power was impressive, dark energy crackling around him as he deflected or shattered Ben's crystal attacks. You fight well for someone so young, Draken acknowledged, power building around his gauntleted fists. But you're in a dimension where I've had years to perfect my powers while eliminating anyone who could challenge me. Ben formed his arms into crystalline blades, his hybrid ranger enhanced form glowing with emerald energy that flowed through his transparent body. I've been hearing, you can't possibly W in speeches since I was 10. They usually age poorly. He charged forward, crystal blades clashing against Draken's energy-enhanced gauntlets. The impact sent shockwaves through the corridor, cracking the reinforced walls. Ben's hybrid form proved surprisingly effective, the ranger enhancements allowing his crystalline structure to channel energy in ways his standard Diamondhead form couldn't. Draken found himself driven back several steps, genuine surprise registering in his eyes. The morphing grid is responding to your transformations, impossible. I get that a lot too, Ben replied, pressing his advantage with a co-MBI nation of crystal projectiles and direct strikes. The battle intensified, Draken abandoning restraint as he recognized the genuine threat Ben posed. Dark energy coalesced around his corrupted dragon dagger, forming a blade of pure destructive force. Enough games, Draken snarled, his attack pattern shifting to lethal intent. You're an anomaly that needs to be eliminated. Ben adapted his strategy, forming a crystalline shield to absorb the energy blade's impact while simultaneously creating floor-to-ceiling crystal barriers to block the security team still attempting to flank him. The hybrid enhancements to his Petrosapian form allowed unprecedented control over crystal manipulation, structures forming and reforming at his mental command with enhanced strength and precision. Through their clashing powers, Ben caught glimpses of Maya, Adamanta and Tetrax reaching the central laboratory entrance. Good. Primary objective secured. Now he just needed to disengage from Draken and rejoin them. The corrupted ranger seemed to sense his intention. Your friends won't find what they're expecting, he taunted, his blade crashing against Ben's shield with enough force to create fractures. The Morphitrix isn't there. That was merely the testing facility. Ben didn't allow the claim to distract him, maintaining focus on the immediate battle while processing the implications. If true, they were already behind in the race to prevent dimensional catastrophe. A sudden explosion rocked the facility, the vibration strong enough to momentarily unbalance both combatants. Emergency alarms changed pitch, indicating a critical system breach rather than security alert. Draken's communicator activated automatically, Vilgax's unmistakable voice coming through with uncharacteristic urgency. Draken, the Rangers have accessed the central control system. The dimensional barrier is destabilizing prematurely. Draken's expression shifted from battle focus to genuine concern. Impossible. The convergence sequence isn't ready. Ben seized the momentary distraction, forming crystal projectiles in a 360-degree pattern that launched simultaneously, not just at Draken but at strategic points throughout the corridor. The resulting chaos created the opening he needed, allowing him to disengage and sprint toward the central laboratory. Behind him, Draken's furious shout echoed through the collapsing corridor. This isn't over, Tennyson. Ben burst through the central laboratory doors to find a scene of controlled chaos. The massive chamber housed dimensional technology beyond anything he'd seen before, a central platform surrounded by crystalline pillars that generated a containment field around what appeared to be a tear in reality itself. Maya and Adamanta were engaged with Vilgax and his guards near the primary control console, while Tetrax worked weakly but determinedly at a secondary system. Ben, Maya called upon seeing him. The dimensional tiers are destabilizing. Something's accelerating the collapse. He rushed to join them, crystal projectiles clearing a path through Vilgax's guards. What happened? The Morphitrix prototype isn't here, Maya explained between precise strikes that kept Vilgax at bay. But the control system for the breach network is. Tetrax is attempting to use the dimensional seal to stabilize the collapse, but something's interfering. Vilgax's massive form radiated fury, cybernetic enhancements glowing with power as he fought. Your interference has triggered a cascading failure in the dimensional barrier. Fool children playing with forces beyond your understanding. Ben engaged Vilgax directly, his crystalline form matching the warlord's enhanced strength. Pretty sure deliberately creating dimensional breaches counts as playing with forces, Vilgax. The confrontation was interrupted by Tetrax's urgent call. The dimensional collapse is accelerating exponentially. Both universes will begin experiencing catastrophic failures within hours. The central platform's containment field flickered, the reality tear within expanding visibly. Energy readings on surrounding monitors spiked into critical ranges, warning systems activating throughout the facility. Adamanta joined her father at the secondary console, the dimensional seal now connected to the system. The seal can't stabilize the breaches, the Chronos configuration has progressed too far. Can it contain them? Maya asked, disengaging from combat to assess the critical situation. Tetrax manipulated crystalline controls with practiced precision despite his weakened state. Partially, we can create a controlled collapse corridor, channeling the destructive energy along a predetermined path rather than allowing omnidirectional destruction. What does that accomplish? Ben questioned, maintaining defensive position between them and Vilgax. It means we can save one dimension or the other, Tetrax explained grimly. But not both. The seal doesn't have sufficient power to contain the full collapse. Quote, the horrifying choice landed like a physical blow. Save one dimension but sacrifice the other. Billions of lives in exchange for billions of lives. Vilgax laughed darkly, the sound incongruously satisfied despite the catastrophe. The ultimate choice, Tennyson. Your home dimension or this one? Who will you sacrifice? Maya's helmeted head turned toward Ben. The impossible decision weighing on them both. Is there any other option? Tetrax's crystalline features showed genuine regret. The collapse has progressed too far for conventional containment. Without the complete dimensional nexus control system, we can only redirect the energy, not neutralize it. Where is the nexus control system? Ben demanded, turning to Vilgax. Where's the Morphytrix prototype? Vilgax's alien features twisted into something like a smile. Beyond your reach. Draken has already transported it to the activation site. In minutes, it won't matter which dimension you see. Who's to save? Both will be reshaped under our control. The facility shuddered again, more violently this time. Monitoring systems displayed alarming data, reality fractures appearing throughout both dimensions, spreading from the breach points in geometric patterns. We're out of time, Tetrax stated with grim finality. The seal must be activated now or both dimensions will be lost completely. Adamanta looked to her father. Crystalline features showing rare vulnerability. Which dimension do we save? The impossible question hung in the air as alarms blared and reality itself began to fracture around them. Dimensional energy surged through the laboratory, equipment failing as fundamental physical laws became unstable. Maya stepped forward, her ranger determination evident despite the overwhelming situation. There must be another way. Where would Draken take the prototype? What's the activation site? Ben's tactical mind raced through possibilities, processing everything they'd learned. The dimensional breaches form a perfect heptagonal pattern around the city. 7 points creating a Chronos configuration. But there must be a focal point, a center where all the energies converge. Tetrax nodded weakly. The dimensional nexus access point. In theory, it exists where all dimensional frequencies naturally align. If they've found it, they could control the collapse instead of just causing it, Ben concluded. Reshape reality according to their specifications. Vilgax had begun retreating toward a secondary exit, abandoning the collapsing facility now that his primary objective was elsewhere. Ben noticed the movement but couldn't divert attention from the more urgent crisis. The command center, Maya realized suddenly. Dr. Gray said the ley line convergence point is directly beneath the command center. That's where they'll activate the Morphytrix. The revelation brought horrifying clarity. The Ranger's base, with Zara and Dr. Gray still working on sealing technology, was the target. Ben made a decision, touching the Omnitrix symbol to transform into Jetray, a manta ray-like alien capable of supersonic flight. The hybrid Ranger version featured streamlined armo and enhanced propulsion systems that glowed with morphing grid energy. Maya, come with me to the command center. Adamanta, help Tetrax stabilize the collapse as much as possible with the seal. As time to stop the Morphytrix activation. Tetrax's crystalline hand grasped Ben's arm. You don't understand. Even if you stop the activation, the collapse has progressed too far. Without the Morphytrix technology, the seal can only redirect the destruction, not prevent it. There must be a way to save both dimensions, Ben insisted, the weight of countless lives pressing upon him. There is, Tetrax acknowledged grimly. But it would require someone to remain at the nexus point during synchronization, manually maintaining the harmonic frequency between dimensions. It would mean certain death for whoever attempted it. The laboratory shuddered again, parts of the ceiling collapsing as reality itself became increasingly unstable. Equipment exploded in cascades of sparks, and the central platform's containment field failed completely, the reality tear expanding rapidly. We need to move now, Maya urged. Whatever we're going to do, we're out of time to debate it. Ben looked at the aces around him. Maya's determined leadership, Adamanta's stoic courage, Tetrax's grim experience, all processing the same impossible choice. Save one world or the other, or risk losing both in an attempt to save everyone. Vilgax had reached the secondary exit, pausing to deliver a final taunt. Choose wisely, Tennyson. Which world will you sacrifice? Your home, Are these new allies you've barely known for days? As the facility continued to collapse around them, the true magnitude of the crisis became unavoidably clear. The Amalgam Alliance had orchestrated the perfect trap, even their apparent failures served their ultimate goal. Win or lose, dimensions would fall. Maya placed a hand on Ben's shoulder, her voice steady despite everything. We need to get to the command center. Whatever choice must be made, we make it together. Ben nodded, determination replacing uncertainty. Together. As they prepared to depart, Ben is Jetre carrying Maya, Adamantus supporting Tetrax with the Dimensia. El Seal, the reality of their situation crystallized into perfect, terrible clarity. They weren't just fighting villains anymore. They were racing against the collapse of reality itself, with the lives of two entire dimensions hanging in the balance. And time was running out. Blank. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.